Hi folks, I'm Mike and I hope you're well. And I'm just here to test out my webcam, the streaming, all that sort of thing. Looks like there might be a couple of people watching. I don't really understand all of that stuff, but say hi if you are watching me right now. All I'm going to do for the moment is sit here and wait for someone to arrive and say hello and give me some feedback. And I'll tell you what the story is and why I'm doing this. But until that happens, I'm going to sit and eat these sour squirms. They're an Australian thing. I don't know if you have them in whatever country you're from. Let's see how they look. Oh, they don't look too good on camera. Let's bring them back here. They say they're natural, but I mean, I don't know how natural they are. They're probably quite full of sugar, is what they are. But they're going to keep me awake. Now, it appears there's actually 20 people sitting and watching me eat these sour squirms. Do you have sour squirms in your country? Say hello in the chat. So what happened was, if you've tuned into any of my live shows before, sorry, it's a bit rude to eat and broadcast at the same time. If you've tuned into any of my live shows before, you may have noticed that the streaming quality was really quite dreadful. In fact, I was just made up of about 20 pixels. G'day, Dan. Hi, Rufio84. Good Jacko Jalo. John Hicks. You have something to. G'day, John. How you going? Lamont Shelton. Good to see you all here, guys. I mean, I didn't plan to do this at all. It was about 10 minutes ago. I thought I might as well do a broadcast because it seems to be working okay to me. So previous live broadcast for me, I was made up of about 20 pixels and it was pretty terrible. And it was because of the dreadful internet connection that we have not in Australia in general, but the area that I live in. Good day, Timothy. And it was really bad. It was really, really bad. Like it was kind of embarrassing. So I've actually got 3 live streams coming up, 2 on other people's channels, and of course the giveaway coming up for the Arturia keyboard. Thanks, Rob, for the feedback. Anyone else that's got any feedback, that would be good. Cheers, Rob. This dreadful image. So I was getting that. If you guys understand this, I don't know, because I don't understand all the numbers. But before, my upload speed, which I think is the most important thing for streaming, was 1 megabit per second. I mean, it's 1. You can't get any lower than 1, can you? And my download speed was about 20. So I spoke to a young fella today who told me on the phone, actually, he'd subscribed to my channel, and I think he did. And he worked for Telstra, the company here. And it took him about 15 minutes to hook me up. And he's looked at my channel, and I said to him that I'd give him a shout out. I didn't actually get his name, but the Telstra guy, I think he was from the Philippines. It took him about 15 minutes. So my upload speed went from 1 megabits per second, I think that's slow, to 5, which I think is still quite slow compared to some of you in some parts of the world. I know, but my download speed went up to about 60 megabits per second, which I think is quite a lot better. So John, you need a synchronous line, not an asynchronous most business upgrade eyes pro. Okay, John, thanks for telling me that. I'll look into that. But it appears to be not too bad. Look, I'm looking on my other screen, and for me it's looking acceptable. It's not as sort of quite as high resolution as some of my friends in the US get, but you know. So now listen, some of you guys, I'm going to get your names wrong, particularly if you're from India. So let me see if I get this right. Falgam Maharishi, is that correct? Did I get that right? Let me know. Falgam, is that right? I'll try. It sounds good to me. If you're not named that, then we'll keep it as that. G'day, Mimo. Nice to see you here. And you notice what a pleasant time of the evening it is, Mimo, because normally when you see me online, you have to stay up pretty late. I'm glad I got that right, Falcon. So thank you, Flux Cobalt. Hey, look, I can do some fancy stuff here. Like I'll put Flux up on the screen there. Thank you so much for that. I'm overwhelmed by the response I'm getting from the channel at the moment. Excuse me. This is something I don't normally do, but I just had to get that out. That's what the nature's sweets will do for you. Oh my God. Thank you, Rando. I'm glad it's a much better pick, because I'll tell you what I am doing. I don't know if any of you guys watch a channel called it's called Home Studio Simplified. Robert McClellan over there, he has a purely Cakewalk channel, because you may have noticed, folks, that I do a lot of Cakewalk videos, but I'm not purely Cakewalk. Rob does a lot of Cakewalk videos. He's got a great little channel. I'll put a link in the community tab at some point in the next couple of days, because I'm on his channel in a couple of days. He's hosting a song contest, and I'm one of the judges, which is quite a difficult thing to do. I've been a judge in song contests before over the years. I used to be the state president for the Australian Songwriters Association. We used to run an annual song contest way back then. We used to listen on cassette tapes and CDs if we were lucky. It's always a difficult job to, I mean, it feels a bit cruel sometimes listening to other people's music when you've got to listen to lots of it and you hear a lot of varying amounts of quality. But you want to be fair to people, because we're all at different stages. And hey, look, some of my songwriting sucks anyway, so who am I to judge? But anyway, I was asked to be a judge on Rob's channel, and I am going to be a judge on the 23rd American time. I think that might be the midday, the 23rd American. I know there's more than one American time, so sorry about that. But I think it's going to be midnight. Mimo Japan will know how tough that is. But Mimo, I'm going to be on Rob's channel being a judge. I picked a song, actually. There was 38 songs entered. In fact, while I'm here, I might tell you guys, you know, a bit of my experience, and it's a little bit tough this to hear, but I learned something from all of it. When you listen to a lot of music, like in terms of being a judge, you realize what I realize from it every time it happens to me is that there's one thing that counts above everyone else, above everything else, and that's the song. The song, you know, I know we all put lots and lots of effort into the production, which is good, but yeah, it all comes down to that moment when the chords or the first melody hits, and then especially when that first vocal line comes in, it really sets you up for the rest of the listening experience. Now, of those 38 songs, I'll say that there was one which sort of broke that rule. It was a fantastic song with a fantastic singer, and I would have picked it as my number one choice. However, there was some production on there which was distractingly, I'm going to use the word bad, which I don't like to use the word bad, but it was it was distractingly bad. So, you know, I think very, very poor production can really ruin a good song. Yeah, I'm still burping here. Excuse me. It's like some of my older videos. I don't know if you guys notice, I don't do it as much now, but especially 6 months ago, there was a lot of gulping in my videos, like that. And it's not so bad now, although I'm doing it now. And the older people amongst you will know that when you get a little older, you start to suffer more and more from something called heartburn or reflux. And that was what was happening to me. And it's when I eat things like this, lollies, like this one, which I shouldn't be eating now, which makes me do that. Or sometimes when I was filming a video, I was having lunch just before. I'm just going to address some of the things in the comment. I don't know how to say your how to say your name. The Utsab. Hi, Mike. I'm shifting to Reaper from Cakewalk due to export options. Now I shall find Now I shall soft to Presonus in future due to more plugins. Is that the right option? You know, the right option in terms of a DAW. Good question, actually. And I know that all YouTube creators in my genre say this, but the right option is just the right option for you. I'm not actually either a Cakewalk or a Presonus Studio One fanboy. I've never been a fanboy kind of person. I'm not with computers. I have Macs. I have some Linux web servers. I have Windows operating systems. I run iOS on my tablet. I run Android on my phone. I'm just not a fanboy kind of a person. It's just whatever works for you, you know. So look, I hear a lot of good things about Reaper. You know, I mean, you know, some people really do love it and find some of the processes in it much more simple. I haven't personally tried it. And also I'll be interested to hear what sort of other export options you wanted that Cakewalk doesn't have as well. That's something I'd be interested to hear about. So yeah, moving on to some of the other comments there. Thanks for that good question there, though. Getting a little Q&A session going on here, impromptu. Now, don't eat those. Dun 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 dun. Will he do it? Will he do it? No, I'm going to answer another question. Let's have a look. So I have some problem fixing the input-output settings in ASIO for all driver. I'm new in Cakewalk. That's probably not enough information for me to go on. Tiamum Terzo. So I'm definitely, I'm not really an expert on ASIO for all. I'm probably like lots of other people here. Like I just used it before when I had some audio interfaces that didn't work very well with their drivers and Cakewalk and stuff. So I'll try and help you. What you can do, and this gives me a chance to try this out. You can email me at me. Ooh, look at that. It's professional, isn't it? At the email address that you can see there. And we'll try and dig into your problem. Now, guys, when you do email me about issues, try and give me as much information as possible. I do eventually answer emails normally. If it's very, very urgent, then I might not be your man. But normally within 2 to 3 days, I try and dig into detail. But on that first email, try and give me as much information as you possibly can. I won't name any names, but somebody emailed me the other day and said, what were they talking about? They emailed me and they said, contact's not working. And I said, I'll need a little bit more detail than that. And they said, what details do you need? And I thought, well, any really. I don't mean to be mean, but you do need to give me some details if you email me. So that'd be good. G'day, Pat. Now, Pat, would you like to tell people in the chat about your experience with Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy? I always remember that story. I think you didn't recognize him. Have you ever met a famous person you didn't know who they were? It's happened to me once or twice, actually. Anyway, moving on. I use Cakewalk Reaper and Harrison Mixbus 32C. G'day, Juka Jailer. What country are you from? Unusual name. Yeah, you know what? I've actually used Harrison Mixbus in the last few months with the view to making a video about it to give you my thoughts. And I've got such a list of videos that I've got to make, an enormous list of videos. I'm going to try and get 3 videos out this week. I need to catch up. But I do think that Harrison Mixbus is worth me making a video about because it's so unusual in the world of DAWs. And especially if you've come from a traditional sort of background. Oh, this is terrible, me eating while I'm on air, isn't it? Anyway, if you come from a traditional sort of mixer background, it is kind of what it says, you know, it's really based upon a mixer kind of situation. If you're used to that, then you would love it. I will quickly say that I found it to be weak in terms of MIDI. So if you're a big MIDI person, I think you'd do MIDI in other software. What I want to do though is mix a song, one of the songs I normally mix on the channel, and just do it in either Cakewalk or Studio One as a sort of a transparent mix, right? And then I want to mix it in Harrison Mixbus, because the claim is that it goes through this sort of virtual mixer, which is similar to their hardware mixers that they make, and it will give it, you know, the tonality of using a console. I don't know yet. So I'm going to just set up a video where I compare a transparent mix, if you want to call it that, with a mix in their Mixbus and see how it goes. But what do you think of it anyway, Juka? What do you think of that software? I'd love to know. An old friend of the channel, MC Capable, always, almost every single video, he says hi in the comments, and I say hi back. Don't I, MC? Nice to see you here. Very, very pleased to see you. Just going to go through these comments. There's a few of you in here. Geez, normally if I advertise a show, there wouldn't be this many people here. It must be a good time of the day. Let me know where you're from, by the way. I always like to know what part of the world people are from. I've been to a few different countries in the world, but not all of them. I'll let you know if I've been to your country, if you let me know where you are. Retrospective media recording Cakewalk and sends pre-failure mute, it still sends to buses, right? Well, let me just take that question in, sir. De Castro Gerardo, I think that is. Did you notice I did that with an accent? Don't know if it was any good or not. Retrospective media Cakewalk and sends pre-failure muted, still sends to the buses, right? Trying to think now, because that's one I have to think about, because when I go from one door to another, that's slightly different. So if you do send pre-fader, then anything you do with the fader will make no difference. That's for sure. So if you put the fader all the way down to 0, the signal still obviously goes to the buses. I'm eating a green and a purple one at the moment. It must be grape and lime together. I don't like the lime bit, but I do like the grape bit. So I'm the sort of person who likes to eat my most favorite thing last and my least favorite thing first. What does that say about me? Anyway, muting though, I can't tell you offhand. Can't quite remember. I'm sorry. I do believe, I'm going to stick my neck out here. I do believe that muting, you still get the send to the bus. It will take you 3 seconds to try it though, in honesty. So go and give it a go. Let's go through here some of these questions. Hey, Chris, that's really, really kind of you. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. Chris has gone ahead and made a donation to the channel. By the way, I'm trying recently to get back to all the people that make donations. And I do get a few during the course of each month. And just to let you guys know, because you probably wonder sometimes, I do this as a full-time thing. So I do 2 videos a week, and it takes me all of the hours God sends me. There's probably a little bit more to making videos than some people imagine. And then again, you're producers, all of you, so you know that things take longer than they appear. And I love it. I really, really do enjoy it enormously. But although I do it full time, it doesn't pay full-time types of wages. So I'm a little bit subsidized by the lovely Susie, who you guys have seen in the video, who believes in creative source enormously. She does, and she's a wonderful lady. And if you can find a partner like that who believes in your dreams, then you're a lucky guy indeed, as I am. So when people like Chris, as he's done here, donated $10, it really does make a big difference, Chris. I can't put into words how much difference it does make. And largely I'm able to think about music and what I'm going to try and provide for you guys, and not be too worried about bills and things. And you know that can be a distracting thing if you're stressed about it. I'm sure you all know that feeling. Chris Still working on the Patreon, and just a little reason. The little reason for that is that I'm just doing. You'll see a little bit of rebranding of the channel in probably a couple of weeks. I've just been working on a new opening intro. Eat it up. You know that little mixing desk which I have right at the beginning where I show the logo, dun, 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 whatever it is. That's going. That's history. It took me 3 months to make that animation. If you've been watching the channel for a long time, it used to be much longer than that. But the fact is, on YouTube, people don't watch animations which last more than 2 seconds, and so that's been shortened over time. But I'm decided to get rid of it a little bit. So yeah. Let's just go to a question here from Pat. Any recommendations for a console VST? My go-to is Hornet 1, but consoles are gamma. You know what? I don't use a lot of console VSTs. I use the one in Cakewalk, which is in the Pro channel. I use that a little bit, and in Studio One they have some console emulation, which I do use, and it's got some nice sort of crossover effects. But no, I know, Pat, you sent me a mix a little while ago. If you don't mind me talking about this, we discussed the problem that can sometimes occur. It's happened for me a lot in the past, where you sort of mix something and you do it really, really nicely, but it's almost like too nice. You can hear everything in the mix. Like if you focus, you can focus on that guitar, the drums, what have you. And so it's great in a sense, but then it doesn't feel like it's all sort of glued together, like when a band plays in a venue and just that sound hits you, like a wall, all sort of glued together. I think that to some degree, console emulations help with that. And you can even, it's sort of that type of thing when you put it on the master bus. I think it really does help. So, but I've used the two that I talked about there. But I think, just messing things up a little bit in general can really help things, obviously little bits of saturation, distortion, warmth type things. I did a video recently on the name escapes me, the Arturia effects collection. Yeah. Thank you so much, Timothy. That's really, really very much appreciated, man. I do that like that. I'll read your comment in a moment. Yeah, those Arturia ones, the effects collection, I actually been using those a lot since I got them, which was probably about 3 or 4 months ago. Now they're not exactly console emulators, Pat, but there's a lot of stuff in there which could be used on a master bus, which sort of do give a little bit of warmth in there, a lot of saturation. Like there's some preamp sort of, there's 1 or 2 preamp stuff in there, and some channel strips and things like that. So sometimes a combination of those things really helps. Even you remember the other day I did another. Oh, what was? I just said Arturia effects collection. That's not right. It was the IK multimedia one, wasn't it? Oh, I'm getting so confused. Look at me. This is what happens when I'm not prepared. Any of that stuff. Yeah. I've used a lot of things recently, so I've used the IK multimedia stuff, which I covered on the channel. I think you guys got some specials on that. Now the tapes that I did the other day, the tapes emulations, I don't think you need, there's a collection of 4 of those. I don't think you need all 4, to be honest with you. I think pick your favorite one. They're not too expensive if you buy one, because I couldn't see myself using all 4 of them, to be quite honest with you. But pick one of those, and that type of thing, Pat, if that's what you're aiming for, can really, really help a lot. Anyway, I'll move on. I'll get you out of the spotlight, Pat. I really enjoyed your song, though, very, very much, and the performance in it was really, really good. I look forward to hearing the update to it. So yeah, Timothy, thank you so much, man. As I was saying earlier, I appreciate it very, very much. And you've been using it since the early 12-tone days. a while ago, I shouldn't do this on air. I shouldn't talk about the videos I never got round to making, but I did want to do a sort of a history of Cakewalk video, because there's no really consolidated history of Cakewalk anywhere, which is a bit of a shame. And during the course of that, I actually set up some virtual machines on my computer. And I don't want to go into what virtual machines are, but essentially it's like running a computer within your computer. So I set up both a DOS machine and I set up a 3.1, Windows 3.1. Who remembers that? I do. And I ran some very old version. I think one of them might have been from the 12-tone days, the DOS one, Timothy. I was running that on there. I couldn't get the sound happening on it. I have to figure that out yet, but my God, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun messing around with it. And here and there, you could see hints of the current Cakewalk in there, or Sonar, whatever you want to call it. Chris, yeah, I am a little bit of a techie. I had two sort of major skills in my life. And just before I go on to that, I just want to say a thank you to Juka. You asked me a question. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. Yeah. So, Chris, apart from the various musical exploits I've been involved in my life, which have included, you know, all the stuff you guys have done, playing in bands, making a lot of noise, through to a lot of solo work, some local production for local artists and things, and also producing a TV show, local TV show here some years ago about songwriters, local songwriters. I did that. And also I had a little media company for a while where we made sort of DVDs and stuff like that. So there's a lot of audio work in that. Apart from that, also when I was very young, when I was about 12 years old, and I used to live in a place called the Isle of Wight in England, we were the first middle school in England at that time to get computers. And I wasn't a big fan of being outside in the cold weather and playing football at break time. So they said you could stay inside if you joined the computer club, which I did. But back in those days, you couldn't really do much with computers unless you programmed them. So I quickly learned to program at a young age. So for some reasonable period of my adult life, I was also involved, mostly in web programming. I've done some other types of programming, but mostly in web programming. So I've been a web development programmer. And eventually, you know, you do that, and then you get promoted, and you get promoted eventually to a stage where you don't do it. So I eventually became a project manager for a social networking company in Hong Kong. And then after that, moved back, after doing that for a few years, moved back to Australia, and I worked for an ISP here, which you'd think I'd know something about streaming, but I don't know much about streaming, despite all of that. G'day, Flux. Look, if you're as old as me but you look as good as me, it's not too bad, is it? Hey, it's not too bad, is it, Flux? Yeah, I've been around a few years. I am. I won't say how old I am. I'll let you guys guess. It's probably a way to find out. Your ancestors are from the Isle of Wight. Oh, that's nice to hear, Randall. And it's a lovely part of the world, the Isle of Wight. Trying to think about any claims to fame from there. I vaguely knew of I'll say this, I saw him around a little bit, the guy who used to play bass for Level 42. He was from the Isle of Wight. Mark, and his name escapes me now, but he was a famous fellow there. And who else was from the Isle of Wight? Pat. What's it? A lot of wrinkles here. I'm 5, flipping 4. Yeah, you're about the same age as me, Pat. I'm a little younger than you. When I say little, as little as you can get below that, I think. Anyway, you lose track, don't you? They didn't, Flux. Yes, the 5.2. They were real floppy disks then, because most people, even now, when you say floppy disk, they think of the diskette ones, the 3.5 ones. So yeah. G'day from Indonesia. I did say earlier, didn't I? Let me know where you are. Now, g'day, Bara. I have been to Indonesia, and but where every Australian has been to in Indonesia, which is Bali. And I've been there once and I loved it. I had a great time a couple of years ago. And as soon as this whole lockdown is over, and so lockdown for where I am in the world, Western Australia, means that we're actually functioning completely normally now. We haven't had any new cases here for, I think, a number of weeks. And we have had during the whole pandemic, I think we've had 7 deaths. But we did lockdown. We did all that. But lockdown for me now means that our state, not just Australia, we don't have hardly any international flights, but also our state is cut off from the other states. So we're not letting anyone in. I think we let them out, maybe. I'm not sure, but we're not letting anyone in apart from rare cases. So I can't travel to Indonesia again at the moment. I would love to, because it's winter here at the moment and I don't like the cold. So I'd like to go to lovely Indonesia. Yeah, and that's definitely going to be a plan. You're absolutely correct, David. Mark King. And I think Mark King is arguably one of the best bass players ever, especially if you like that kind of style, which a lot of people were doing back then. He used to, remember how they had the bass guitar really, really high? Don't know what that, I guess that's an easier position to do that slapping technique from. Yeah, he was a good guy, nice guy, actually. And Norman Wisdom from the Isle of Wight. I think I've heard that, James. I think I've heard that. I saw Norman Wisdom on the Isle of Wight. He did a show not long before he passed away, I think it was. And I was a young kid at the time. I went and saw him at Sandown Theatre on the Isle of Wight. And all I remember about him, he was just tremendously funny and very acrobatic. He was hilarious. Yeah, really funny guy. Lots of you don't know who we're talking about, do you? There you go. That's right, friends. Armpit bass. I see that you have it in that sensible position down there. Yeah, that's more my kind of bass. What are you playing there, Franz? Is it it must be a jazz bass with those 2 pickups on there. Am I right? Let me know. Fender Jazz. Michael Berry. No, not the Isle of Man, not where the motorcycle races happen, but the Isle of Wight. I was born in Australia. I left Australia when I was 9, and we went and lived in the Isle of Wight, which couldn't be more chalk and cheese, really. A very hot, massive country to a very, very small, cold place, the Isle of Wight. Well, for me, it was cold anyway. A Mexican jazz bass, and I imagine, friends, that they're every bit as good as the USA ones, no doubt. What are you guys doing? It was just just an impromptu thing. We're just having a chat here. You can fire questions at me. It's funny when we talk about just going back to what Franz was saying there, or talking about his Mexican jazz bass. I bought a Taylor guitar, a new Taylor guitar. It hasn't featured in any of my videos yet. I'm actually going to make a video about it. I'm going to have a few more guitar videos coming up because I've bought a few guitars recently, and yeah. And we had this debate about Mexican versus USA with the Taylor company, and it's funny because now my geography is not always that great with the USA, but I know that Taylor guitars come from the lower part of California. Does that come close to the Mexican border? Have I got that completely wrong? I could be wrong, but anyway, they're just across the border from Mexico, and I think there's something like 50 miles between the 2 factories, the USA and the American one. And I don't know if this is a joke or not, but the guy in the guitar store was saying the difference between the 2 factories is the Mexican factories in Mexico with Mexican workers, and the USA factories in the USA with Mexican workers. I don't know if that's true or not. If you know, let me know. Anyway, moving on. We've got a debate about Norman wisdom going on here. This is the last thing I sort of expected. But yeah, somebody's been on Wikipedia, haven't they, Alan? Or did you just know that? Any new songs on the horizon? I've been working on a new song, just one new song for about the last 2 months. This channel does keep me very, very busy. But me and Susie have some new recordings coming up soon. One of the things that I've got coming up, actually, I'll let you guys know. You can be the first ones in the loop because I'm actually going to delete this show once it's done. I've got some microphone reviews coming up. There's some really nice microphones from the UK. They're called Sontronics. I hadn't tried them before. In fact, I still haven't tried them, but they look nice. When I say they're nice, but I think they're going to be nice. Let's hope. So I've got some which I'm recording guitar with, and I've got some which I'm recording vocals with. And so what I'm going to do is record the guitar and the vocals, and I'm also going to add a little bit of real bass guitar and some cajon percussion. So quite a simple project this is going to be. We're going to have the cajon recorded in stereo. There's 2 tracks. The bass. We're going to have 2 guitars, probably. So that's going to be another 4 tracks. What have I got up to? Let's say 9. And then we'll have probably 1, 2, 3 vocals. So around about a 12-channel thing. So, and it's a song that I've written it a while ago, last year, but I haven't actually put it out on the channel yet. And so what I'm going to do with this during the course of doing these 2 videos, which you'll see come out probably the end of next week, if not the week after, I'm going to upload the multi-tracks of those, or the stems as they're called. I'm not going to, people often use the word stems wrongly, but let's call them stems. I'm going to upload the stems to my webpage, and I'm going to make them available to all of you guys so that you can mix them yourselves and just use them to practice. And then in the future, when I'm doing some future videos about mixing and different aspects of mixing, I'll probably quite often use that project so that you guys can precisely mimic what I'm doing. Somebody sent me an email about this the other day and said that sometimes they find my videos a bit confusing when there's like 60 something tracks on the screen and I'm dealing with a mix. So they asked if I could create something a bit more simple. I said, not only will I do that, but I'll upload it to the website so that you can all have a go at it yourself. So I think that would be great fun. And in fact, if you guys are going to end up doing remixes of my song, it would be fascinating to hear. Anyway, let me go through some of these comments here. John Hicks, I recognize your name. I'm using a plugin to check gain levels and trying to tweak a channel plugin, but I have to keep flipping between them. Is there a way to have more than one plugin open at the same time in Cakewalk? Yeah, if you when you've got one plugin open, John, in the top, I'm going to say top right-hand corner, I believe. Let me know if I've got this wrong. There's a little like pin button where you can pin the plugin open. So that will keep it open once you click that pin button. And then when you open your second plugin, that will open in a different window. And you can do that. You can do many of those if you like. So yeah, I'm glad I was able to answer that. Moving on. Nice to see some questions coming up here. Yes. We looking forward to the record mix release. But yeah, absolutely. Pat, such is life, and life is such, and after all, it isn't much. A bit of poetry going on. First a cradle, then a hearse. It might have been better, but it could have been worse. Was that Norman Wisdom, was it? He was a funny fella. Oh dear. I've been using Cakewalk since the beginning, but your channel made me realise. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, friends? I mean, to be quite honest with you, even for me, I sort of don't. I know people that know lots and lots more about Cakewalk than me. And in fact, sometimes people correct things that I do wrong in the comments. I like to learn, and I think if I do have a skill, then it's more about imparting, finding a way to explain things that perhaps other people, even though they've got more knowledge, they don't have that skill so much. So sometimes in the course of deciding to do a video, I will think, okay, I wanted to show people how to do this, this, and this in Cakewalk, for example, and I'll think about the way I've been doing it, and I'll think about how I'm going to explain that, and then sometimes I like to just double check, is that really a good way to do it? And sometimes along the way, I get knowledge myself, even when I'm making the videos, and certainly get lots of knowledge, as I say, in the comments as well. I've learned a lot, because I'm sure some of you are, because you're musicians, you've done the same as me in the past. I've been a guitar teacher in the past. I don't play keyboard anywhere near well enough to teach anyone, but some of you I know, like Mimo in the comments there is a good keyboard player, and you teach keyboard, and in the process of something, but then when you have to explain it to other people, sometimes you learn something about what you do yourself. So it's always a lot of learning for me when I'm making these videos. Let's go. Got a mid-80s Strat Contemporary made in Japan, which is arguably better than the American and Mexican. Yeah, I've heard that a lot as well, Les. I bought a Strat the other day. I'm going to make a video about this if you want me to. But some of you are going to find this horrific. But I bought a Strat the other day with a Floyd Rose tremolo on it, and I love it. Really, really love it. I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I know some people are going to think it's sacrilege, but I'm okay with progress. And Floyd Rose has only been around 25 years or something. I've seen them on Strats before. I've just never had one on a Strat, and it's really nice. I enjoy it. Good fun. Bit difficult to set up, but anyway. Hey, what have we got here? Now let me try and say this. Disley? Mike, live webcam recording within the door. Any thoughts? Live webcam. Not sure if I understand your question. If you mean, I could be completely misunderstanding you here, but let's try. I'm just going to open up Cakewalk here and see. Sorry, you guys can't see this. I'm just doing this off screen. I'm opening Cakewalk. I'm going to see if I can share my Cakewalk screen with you. I like to sing to myself when I'm doing things. Let me find a screen. Let's choose this one. Seeing as we're doing some tests here. Oh, look, there you go. There's a Cakewalk screen. Hey, Mimo, did you notice in my last Cakewalk video that it was a different resolution to what it was before? In that it was, I actually filmed it like this with Cakewalk kind of in the middle of my screen, and I only captured that part so that things would be bigger for you. Don't say I don't listen to you. But yeah, let's open, let's see if I can crash things here. This is one of the last project I did, I think, isn't it? Or one of the last projects I did. There you go. We'll just do this as a bit of a dry run. See if I could explain things to you. So let me know in the comments down below. By the way, the comments are a little bit delayed to me, which what I can see on my screen. But let me know if you can see that clearly enough. Let me just take that comment off the screen. I'm not sure if this is what you meant at all when the fellow who asked that, but let me go up to full screen here. All right, let's see what this would be like. So let me know in the comments so you can record video live in your door at any point, so you end up with vid and your mix. Oh, I see. That's a totally different subject. Sorry, I misunderstood your question. Yes. I'll deal with that in a moment. But yeah, look, guys, if I was going to do any live tutorials at all, would this be any good to you? Can you kind of see what I'm doing? Maybe not, hey? Let's put this down smaller. Sorry, we're just doing, this is real experimentation here. Let's put that down smaller like so. And let's, no, that doesn't work. No, I don't think it's going to work. I have to have it like that. Okay. Well, let me know anyway if this is going to be any good to you if I was doing tutorials. Probably I'd need to get rid of this rubbish off the screen. I've no doubt about that. Let's just do that now as a little test. We'll get rid of the branding. Where's the branding options here? Branding. I don't know if I can get rid of the branding. Okay. Oh, yes, I can. And I can get rid of that banner there. All right. Would this work as a tutorial? Maybe it would. Maybe it wouldn't. Let me know in the comments if I was showing this or that. The only thing is I'm not going to zoom in. So if I was doing something and showing you guys like something here, I would just have to, yeah, anyway, we'd figure it out. You'll let me know. Yeah, you're right, actually, Chris. Robert does do it all the time. And I must ask him how he does it. I think he uses OBS when he's broadcasting. I'm glad you noticed me. I think he uses OBS. I'll ask him how he does it all. Nice fella is Rob. That's very cool. Anyway, that would be handy, wouldn't it? If you're asking me questions, if I could just show you live, if I happen to know, because as I say, I don't know everything, but I know a bit here and there. Oh, dear. Yeah, I'll try and do that again in the future. I think it did work a little bit better. I didn't find myself having to zoom in with the editing afterwards quite so much. Sure. I've just put an album of my songs on YouTube and iTunes, trying to raise money for cancer. Awesome, Alan. That's a great thing to do. Could you just send me a link to my email address? Let's find that again. Alan, send me a link to that in the to my email address, and I'll help you promote that. Always good to see people doing things for a good reason. Let's go back to the chat here. Sorry, guys, I'm learning new software as I'm doing this, learning how to, yeah. I've got multiple screens here, Chris, so I should be able to do that. Should be okay. So this has been good. This has been good fun. Really nice to see you all here. And this seems like a good time of the day to do it as well. And it's only 10 o'clock in the evening for me. Continue to let me know where you're from. I'm from Brazil. Nice to meet you, Christiana. Thank you. I'm glad that you find the channel instructive. I have not been to Brazil. I haven't been to any Latin American countries at all, but I'd love to. It's one of those things that, you know, at least from a distance, just, you know, when I think of Brazil, I just think, well, first of all, I think of soccer, football, as we call it. So, you know, that's the first thing I think of. But I always just think of Brazilian music and Brazilian people and how much more colourful they are in some ways than Australian people. Oops, did I just insult Australians? There we go. But yeah, nice to have you here. Also, we have someone from Jamaica. I have never been to Jamaica. And I'm probably going to, like Brazil, I talked in stereotypes with the football, and I can't think Jamaica without thinking Bob Marley. First of all, just that's what comes into my head. Just letting you know that. I'm sure you get sick of hearing about it. I'm sure Jamaica's got an awful lot more culture and music to add to the world than just Mr. Bob Marley, but that's what came to my mind. Just like you guys probably think of kangaroos when you think of Australia. Schmittick, hi from Texas. Nice to hear from Texas. I haven't been to Texas. I've been, probably the closest I've been to Texas would be probably Georgia, and that's not really near, is it? But that's the closest. In the United States, I've been to Georgia, South Carolina, and California. California several times, Been to Google over there. When I used to work for the social network in Hong Kong, we were big customers of Google back then. I'm talking about 10 or 15 years ago. So I did visit the Google campus over there for business on a couple of occasions, and it's a fantastic place. Always enjoy the USA. I always do enjoy the USA when I've been there. Probably been there in total, I don't know, 6 or 7 times, maybe something like that. And just, yeah, lovely people, you know, really, really nice people. And, you know, such a variation of culture in the US, of course, as well. Now, we have someone here from Turkey. Hi to Turkey. I've never been to Turkey, but I've met quite a number of Turkish people. We have a sort of small Turkish communities here in Australia, and always a lot of fun. Always a lot of fun for me. And yes, Ruckman65 is from Melbourne. What's going on in Melbourne, man? I mean, I don't want to speak too soon. I don't want to get cocky and speak too soon and say, hey, we've got no cases over here in Perth and do all that. I don't want to do that, because you can be made to eat your words. But yeah, looks terrible what's going on over there at the moment in Melbourne. You went from being great, the whole of Australia was great a couple of weeks ago, and it's really kicked off in Melbourne. But anyway, I hope you're safe and well, Ruckman. That's the main thing, isn't it? That's definitely the main thing. Georgia. I lived in Atlanta for 15 years. Yes, that was the first time I went to America. I landed in Atlanta. The very first place I ever saw in America was Atlanta. Fantastic place. Heard some great music in that part of the world as well. I went to some jazz and blues clubs while I was there at the time, and I was blown away by the quality of local musicians. It's really, really, really good. And Atsab from India. But see my question, please. Oh, let me see. Sorry. Let me have a look. Did I not answer your question earlier? See mine, please. I'm going back. Oh, I've missed loads of questions here. Sorry, Atsab. Maybe you'll have to post it again if I've missed it. Post it for me again. Yes. No football. We had a little bit of football over here, just to have a little private conversation between me and Ruckman65 here. Yeah, the Eagles beat the Dockers yet again. 10th derby in a row they beat them for. And what's going on with the Dockers? I actually support the Eagles over the Dockers, but I'd like to see the Dockers just have a go at least. Ever been to the Netherlands? Yes, I have been to the Netherlands. I used to, one time when I lived in the UK, Rob, nice to see you here. I lived in a city called Norwich for a little while. And it was a very short flight from there to Amsterdam. Now, I know what you're going to say. There's Amsterdam and then there's the Netherlands. In other words, they're like two different countries, because I believe that culture outside of Amsterdam and the rest of Holland is very, very different. And I believe that, because it's true for a lot of countries, isn't it? But nonetheless, there was also a lot of musicians who I knew who used to play in Amsterdam. And they used to go over, for months at a time and play in bands in the many bars over there. And I'd never did that personally, but I had many, many friends who did that. But yeah, I went over there and had a lovely, lovely time. It was a very quick flight over there. Really like, and I've had a few Dutch friends over here in Australia over the years, and always enjoyed their company. Lovely people, the Dutch. How animate plugin in Cakewalk. Not quite sure what you mean then. So looking for Utsab. Here's my question. Yes, indeed, the home of Alan Partridge, one of my favorite comedians, actually, John. He just makes me Google it sometimes. Oh dear. He's got a bit serious recently on some interviews I saw with him. Bit of a shame, in my opinion. I'm one of those purists like that. But anyway, yeah, really, really good. He's always good. Loads of stuff he's done. Happy for. I haven't been to the Maldives. I have not, again, had A few. I had a few friends from the Maldives over the years. Like to go there. That's for sure. I'd like to get out of this winter weather here. Hello from England. Yes, great. I don't know why though. I tell you what, though, you're doing okay with the stats are going right down now, drummer boy, which is good to see. Really, really good to see. Just to respond to WhatsApp. No, I don't see your question. For whatever reason, I don't see your question. I don't know why that's not coming up there. We may have to leave that to another time. So yes, I'll give you some heads up about what's going up. So I have been working, as I said earlier, on a bit of rebranding of the channel. So I will be starting my Patreon soon. We have the winners coming up next week for the giveaway for the Arturia keyboard. That little keyboard is really magnificent, by the way. I was sent it by Arturia, and I thought, first I was like, wish they'd sent me something bigger. Hint, hint, Arturia, if you ever watch this. But when it came through, I thought, okay. But recently, I had started using that Cubasis on my iPad. Now, not to diss GarageBand, because my very good friend Pete Johns from Studio One, he's got a whole channel more or less about GarageBand, and it's amazing what people do on there. And I always think GarageBand looks pretty, but looks really, really nice and really sort of good for beginners, but it never feels quite like a full-blown DAW for me. So I was glad to see that Cubasis had been released on Android as well as iOS now. That caught my attention the other day, so I thought, I'll give this Cubasis a go. So that coincided with me receiving that little keyboard that I got, the Arturia one. So it gave me a chance to sort of, I mean, I did plug it into the computer, which is really powerful actually with the computer. It was sitting up here on the desk with my big keyboard. And it was really fun to use. But then plugged into the iPad, I thought it was awesome. And then when I realized how portable it was, and if they had it plugged into their laptop, then it would be great. How to participate in the giveaway. All you have to do is go to that video, which I don't know if someone could be kind enough to get a link to that Arturia keyboard video and pop that into the chat. That would be awesome if you could do that for me. Cubasis. I have a very, very old version of Cubase on CD called I know they have a desktop thing called Cubasis. I'm not sort of very, very familiar with that whole what would you call it, ecosystem, I suppose, with Steinberg, because I've used Cubase in the past. That's it. So Cubasis. But John, I'm going to definitely do some videos about it. Just got to find time. But it's a fully blown door, mate. It's amazing, really, really amazing, and it just sort of makes sense on something like a tablet. It's just big enough, because I think on a phone it's too small, it's too fiddly. But now they've become so powerful, and look, I couldn't find anything with it I couldn't do in a desktop DAW. Now, I'd still prefer personally a larger system with bigger screens and all that sort of stuff. But if you are on the move, or for people who are just starting out, they've got a small amount of space, definitely great. And what I guess a lot of us don't realize, I didn't know this till a couple of years ago myself when I got to know Pete, is that these things are so much more powerful now that sorry, that wasn't where I was going. What I was going to say is that you can plug in audio interfaces and all that sort of thing. So the keyboard plugged into it, as you saw, okay. But so whatever audio, if you like sort of things like the little Scarlett 2i2 that I did recently, or lots of the other audio effects, the Steinberg ones are good. They're a good example of it. They just plug into it. Some of them need to be powered off for a separate power, but yeah, they plug into it, so you can use your condenser microphones and all that sort of stuff really, really nicely with it. So I'm definitely going to do some. I've just recorded a quick song, like a half a song the other day, to try it out, and it was great fun. So I will be doing that. I just wanted to get onto some of the videos that come up. So as well as the Arturia giveaway, I hinted the other day But I have another giveaway coming up, which is a guitar VST, a guitar VST plugin. Now, I'm just going to type in the chat the name of a company. This is a company that I've got some licenses to give away from. There you go. How many of you are familiar with 8DO? They do a lot of contact libraries. Well, they reached out to me and they said, hey, we think probably the people involved with who watch your channel, we've been watching your channel, we like it, and we think the people who watch your channel might be interested in some of our stuff. And I said, I'm sure you're right. I was very familiar with 8DO. They've done, some of their stuff has been used on, like Game of Thrones, Avatar, probably, I think, Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, a massive list of TV and movie shows. So, when I asked you guys in the community thing the other day whether you wanted to saxophone, brass, violin, or guitars, that was the company I was talking about. Now, you all voted for guitars. I think that you're not going to get quite what you thought, because the guitars that they make are fantastic, but they're they're not like guitar emulations. They are sort of more like cinematic guitars, the sort of thing you might use in a soundtrack or something like that. Yeah. So anyway, that's what's coming up there. Now, I think I'm a bit hesitant to say this. So guys, I'm not promising this, but I think I've got 8 licenses to give away. I do believe that they said 8 to me. I haven't got the email in front of me now. If I'm wrong about that, I'm sorry, but it's a few anyway. So that's going to be coming up. I think I'm probably going to be doing that next week. Everything seems to be coming next week. I've got 8DO. I've also got another, this is not a giveaway, but I've also been trying out something called Symphonic AI. Anyone heard it? It's a new release, Symphonic AI. I get sent a lot of emails from people wanting me to do artificial intelligence music software, and usually I'll try it out and I don't make reviews because it's not very interesting to me. I don't think a lot of you are that interested in it, but this plugin came my way, Symphonic AI, and they asked me if I'd take a look at it, and I tried it and I loved it. I really loved it right away. It was one of those things where if you're a very basic keyboard player like me, you could just play some chord progressions on it and it creates this whole orchestra sound with different patterns that you can mix up and you can control, and it's very organic as well. Really, really, very, very cool. So yeah. Anyway, I'm just looking at some of the comments here. Oh, no. Seemingly down to earth bloke. When you say bloke, now I feel terrible for not remembering his names, but I've been watching a few of their videos about some of their stuff, and the fellow who presents on their channel, yeah, I definitely agree with you, Christopher. Really straightforward sort of guy. So yeah, I've got to tell you guys that I was a little disappointed that you all voted, or most of you, didn't all, but 40% you went for guitar, because I had to honor your vote, and I said to them, I'll do a giveaway and I'll take a look at the emotional guitar plugins that they have there. It's a good choice at the end of the day, because I really I've been playing around the last few days and really enjoyed it. But I must admit, it wasn't very popular as a vote for you guys, but they have a couple of saxophones. Excuse me. They have a tenor saxophone one there, which I was hoping you guys might say saxophone. I should have just chosen myself, but I wanted to try and be a little bit democratic. The sax, because it's not easy to find a good sax plugin or library, and so yeah, maybe I can talk them into doing the sax next. Hey, see how we go with the guitar one. But I'll be looking at their. They've got several emotional guitar libraries, and I will be looking at one of them soon, and I'll do the giveaway on that. They're worth it, especially for you guys if you're doing anything like game music or like I say, something cinematic or something along those lines. I think they could be used in probably what can I say, more contemporary sort of songs. But immediately the sort of sounds from them were, oh yeah, cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to making that video. Should be a quick one. So there's that coming up. I've got these Eve Audio monitors, which are in front of me right now, which I won't give away too much about, but they are very, very interesting. I'm going to be filming those at the end of next week. Tomorrow, I've got a Studio One video coming out, a little tutorial video about their their project. What's it called? The project page. It's the mastering part of Studio One, and it's one of the things I do like about Studio One. It's a little bit unique. So they do have a section of Studio One which is dedicated to mastering, and I think they've executed it really well. And what I noticed about it was, and I hope I don't insult anyone here, but I you know, when I'm going to make a video, of course I look to see if anyone else has made that video before and how could I improve it. If someone's already made a really fantastic video on a particular subject, then it's not really worth me making it. But there's a real lack of good videos about this great feature in Studio One, which I think is one of their biggest selling points. So I decided to make a video about that, even though it's not new in version 5 or anything like that. But yeah. So what do we got here? Rob, switched this week from Cakewalk. It was crashing on me all the time. To Pressonosphere to try. Yeah, I'm hooked up to Pressonosphere. One of the things I'll do, Rob, is I'm not quite sure how to do it yet because I haven't really got into the Sphere features. But I'll publicly make available how to contact me on Sphere, and anyone from the channel can then hook up with me on Sphere, and maybe we can share some ideas and stuff there. But yeah, I will be doing some videos about some of the newer features in Studio One, but I haven't really finished doing videos on some of the more basic features in Studio One. So yeah, I wanted to try, because I just sometimes find that with tutorials about DAWs that I think us studio people can be a bit guilty of unnecessarily using lots of terminology, if that makes sense. My favorite one, which I think is I'm just gonna so my favorite thing that people say in videos is to attenuate something. No, you don't attenuate things, you turn them down. Okay, so I don't know why people feel the need. So I try. I mean, I do use terminology, obviously, in my videos, but I try not to make it too complex. So I just sort of noticed with Studio One that there was a bit of a lack of sort of some straightforward, down to earth, basic videos for it, which I thought was a bit of a shame. So yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do with Studio One at the moment on the channel. And yes, let me know how you get on, Rob, with Studio One. Having come from Cakewalk, I probably went through the experience of going to Studio One from Cakewalk because I was predominantly using Cakewalk. I had spent about a year in the middle years in Cubase, and then when I'd been on one time I had a Mac, only had a Mac for a while, and I used to use Logic for a while there for about a year. So I've had, but predominantly over the last 25 years or so, I've mostly used Cakewalk. So I had to go. Yeah, a few versions ago, going back, I would say 5 or 6 years ago was the first time I went and tried out Studio One. But essentially, you know what, between these various DAWs, a lot of them, apart from 2 significant ones that I can remember, but a lot of them have the same principles, let's say, because they all come from the principles of analog recording before that. So, you know, they're similar. The ones I'd say really stand out to me is very, very different. Is Fruity Loops FL Studio. I have used that in the past as well and had great fun with it. But I sort of feel, and let me know if you think I'm wrong in the comments, because I'm always open to being corrected. I sort of feel that Fruity Loops is great if you're making certain types of music, like probably EDM or things like that. Not saying you can't record contemporary sort of music, just regular songs and things on there. I see people do that. But I think if you are into sort of pattern-based music and things, FL Studio really does excel, really, really. And sometimes they let me know it in the comments, don't they? I don't know if you ever see that when I do a Cakewalk video about something. People are, oh, if you're doing this, it would be so much easier in FL Studio. Do you notice the voice I use for that? Oh, that's the voice I attribute to people who are telling you that it's better in another DAW. I roll. But yeah, so yes, it's good DAW though, FL Studio, and yeah, but most of them the same. So I didn't find going from Cakewalk to Studio One too hard. I mean, it's like any time you go from one piece of software to another, there's that sort of learning curve, but the principles are a lot the same. One thing I've always missed though when I'm in Studio One, it's just a silly thing. It's not the only thing I miss, but it's just the icons. I like the fact on Cakewalk that you can put little icons, little pictures of instruments, because I'm much more visual person. So when I'm quickly looking at a console, like if I've got an icon of a bass guitar, my eyes will pick that up much, much quicker than a color or a reading word. So that's sometimes it's the small things like that which really help your workflow though. I do think that in Cakewalk, there's a little bit more detail in some areas, certainly in the area of MIDI, all things MIDI, and things like the events list and all that kind of stuff as well. But yeah, there's a little bit more to it. But for me, MIDI is pretty straightforward. I play stuff on the piano, I stuff it up, I play it again, I stuff it up, I play it again, I stuff it up, and then I think, I'll just use the piano roll and fix my terrible playing. Anyway, let's have a look here. Let's go. What do you got here? You've got a demo Studio One bass and watch it feel. Oh, good. Glad to hear that you're enjoying it. I know sometimes people are asking me which I prefer, Cakewalk or Studio One, and you may have noticed that I'd sort of sit on the fence a little bit because it wouldn't be true for me to go over one other. I've got a certain affection for Cakewalk because of the time I've used it. If I'm going to be pushed at all, I think sometimes I'll say that I find Studio One a little bit more stable, but that's not to say that I find Cakewalk crashes on me all the time or anything like that. But, I've just found Studio One to be kind of rock solid in lots of ways. It seems a little bit lighter sometimes to get going with, starting up and all that kind of stuff. But, different things for different projects. I haven't actually used the video features. I've used the video features in Studio One, but I don't use anything like that in Cakewalk, so never had the need to. But they're pretty good, the video features. I've used them a little bit recently. Let's go. Let's go. Renoise is amazing. Okay, I don't know that. So I'm reading parts of your conversation there, guys. I'm probably going to confuse myself. So yes, and some of the other videos I've got coming up, I've got such a long list of videos coming up. As I say about some guitars, I'm going to do some. I haven't sort of touched on guitars much, but recently I've been having a lot of shuffle arounds, and a few new guitars have come into the family, and I had some interesting experiences buying these guitars as well, which I sort of want to go through with you guys. It's I get really attached to my guitars, very, very attached. So when new ones come in, even though I've bought them, they're new, they're great. They don't feel, I don't know, they haven't got any experience attached to them at the time. Anyway, it's a longer story than that, and I'm going to make a video about some of that. I did buy a Strat recently, and I've bought 2 Taylors recently as well, and I'm about to buy a new bass guitar as well. Lots of stuff. I've also got some more headphone stuff coming up. Again, Mimo, I know you had some comments to make about the last headphones I reviewed, so I'm hoping that the next ones I review will come up to scratch. They're a little bit special, some of the ones coming through. I've also got some stuff I know that I've got to try out for some more budget monitors. So recently I've been doing some monitors. Now, in the world of monitors, I know I did some Adam audio ones, and I've got some Eve audio ones coming up. The world of monitors, these are not really expensive, but I know for home studios, things like Eve audio ones are a little bit more expensive than some of you guys will be spending. And when I say what I sort of think people normally buy is like KRK, Yamaha, those sort of price range, which you can get very, very good results from those monitors. But recently I've been looking at some of the more expensive ones. But, you know, do keep in mind that in real studios or in commercial studios, you know, monitors will go into the tens of thousands sometimes for pairs. But having said all of that, I've got some monitors coming up which I wanted to get, which I'll be testing out, and I think they're going to be good, fingers crossed, which are at the other end of the spectrum, which are more like sort of $100 to $200. So I'm talking Australian dollars here. So, you know, $200 Australian would be like $150, because I always try to want to keep in mind we're all in different situations in life, and sometimes you just don't have the money to buy the expensive gear, so you've got to work with the budget you've got. I'm a firm believer that you don't sort of save up and think, oh, when I've got enough money I'll buy all of the awesome gear and then I'll start recording. That's a ridiculous way to think about it. If you can only afford the cheapest of stuff, and buy the cheapest of stuff and use that to learn about recording on, you'll get pretty good results anyway, even on the cheapest of gear these days, to be honest with you. There you go. Okay, I've got to do some actual work now, says Chris. Always great hearing, chatting with you, Mike. Please announce when you get to the Patreon. Yeah, it should be coming up soon. I want to give a shout out to Phil O'Neill, who's been helping me out a little bit recently with me working towards my Patreon, or some of the not features, but some of the things that I want to be able to offer you guys for Patreon. Required a little bit of testing out, and Phil's been helping out that. So Phil, if you're around, and my pleasure. Yeah, see you, Chris. Thank you very much. Yes, Tony, $200 in the UK was up in. Yeah, I think so, Tony. I mean, look, at the end of the day, when you've say bought a condenser microphone, and this is, by the way, I always use this microphone for my videos. It's the cheapest, crappiest microphone I've got in my studio, but it does the job. This is a AKG P120. I think I put it on here because I felt like I didn't want to keep, because I leave some mics that I use for recording on mic stands in a store cupboard in my house. And yeah, see you, Pat. Nice to see you, buddy. Have a good one. And Randall as well. I'll give a shout out to Susie. I've heard her moving around here somewhere. What was I saying? Yeah, so the mics that I like to record with, I leave them on stands around. I don't want to keep swapping this around. So I found this was laying in a drawer a few months ago, and I thought, I'll just chuck that AKG P120. But in actual fact, getting back to the point we were talking about there, Tony, so a microphone like this was absolutely fine, hooked up to a basic interface, probably, like I mentioned earlier, you know, good one would be a Scarlett, a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, or their Solo one. Even not always that cheaper, but the Behringer ones are fine. Steinberg ones can be very, very, you know, well priced. You can use all of those things. Really, it's fine when you're starting out, I reckon. And I know a lot of people, there's always a debate about whether you could or should use headphones to mix with. I don't personally prefer to use headphones to mix with. I personally prefer to use studio monitors, but then again, I do have some reasonably decent studio monitors. But if or you can afford to begin with these headphones, then, mix on headphones. Whatever you've got, it's what you're going to work with. Talking about sound, one thing I don't make any big deal of is what you can see a bit behind me, which is the sort of appalling acoustic treatment I've got in my room. It's not good. Please don't follow my lead on this. But it's sort of better than nothing. When I moved into this house, it wasn't that long ago, and I know you guys know how I feel when I say I've just been terribly busy and I haven't never quite got around to doing the room treatment. And I was going to do a bit of a DIY build of some bass traps and some broadband reflectors and stuff like that. But I realized recently that I wasn't never going to have time to build it myself. So I got in contact with a company here in Australia, not here in Perth, but I think they're over in Sydney, or it could be, or are they in South Australia or in Melbourne? I'm not sure whether, but they're in Australia, not near me. And they're currently building my room treatment for me, and that'll be shipped out to me. I'm hoping it'll be in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that'll be another video. But yeah, look, Tony, I think you're saying you made your own panels, exactly, wood, rock wool, few mounting angles away, and you're absolutely right. And you've seen from me building my desk that I don't mind building some things, but at the moment I'm just flat out building videos all the time. Got to say thank you for your YouTube series. Never used the door until watching your cable. Oh, that's awesome, Lindsay. Glad to hear that. Now I'm uploading songs. That's really good to hear. That's my favorite type of comment that I get. I do, some people send me emails when they've released a single, all that sort of good stuff, and it's brilliant. It just makes my day when I hear that people have been able to actually get their music out to the world as a result of watching some of the videos on the channel. Really, really awesome. Yeah, really great for me. Somebody, you guys have probably seen that I've got a video about me building the desk, which is out of view here. And then I did make the blueprints available at the time. And some fella from, I'm trying to think where he was from now. I'm going to have to look. Let me just have a quick look at my emails. I think his name was, there we go. Maxime from Austria. He was from Austria. And he took my designs and built his own desk. He modified it a little bit, which was great because that was the idea, is to make it your own, right? That's the whole point. Yeah, that blew my mind that as a result of me making that video, there was a whole new desk in existence in Austria. Really, really fantastic. But, if you've got music which you are releasing and you want to share with me so that I can let other people know, do let me know by email. I love to hear any of your music different times. This is not the sort of channel where I'm not going to let you share your work. I mean, I think that's a great thing. Occasionally I get people who spam the comments with their links. You won't have seen that because I have like a filter on the comments for certain types of comments. Like if comments have links and things in them, they have to be approved by me. So if anyone gets that idea in their head that they're just going to fill up all my comments with endless amounts of links to their videos, then probably I won't let them through. But if you're just sharing here, like just one link, put them in the comments. I always like that. That's absolutely fine. Or if you want a link to whatever it is, iTunes, that sort of stuff, I'm happy. But also, if you just want to send me your music and get my feedback, at the moment, I do find some time to do that. So my email address, Lindsay, is that one that you can see on the screen right now. It's just a pleasure to get to hear people's music, and if you haven't released it yet and you kind of want to get a little bit of feedback about the mix and that sort of thing, I'm offering that as a free service at the moment. In the future, at some point, it may be something that I'll be charging for, just in terms of busyness. Because of it, I'll be so busy, and I already am busy. So now's a good time to send your tracks to me if you want a quick bit of feedback. I do still have a little bit of time for that. Guys, I've been on this stream for quite a while now. I'm not quite sure how long. It was only supposed to be going for 10 minutes, but then 50 or so people arrived and asked me questions, and I ended up having a big long chat here. Let me see how long we've been on for. 85 minutes. My God, I could talk. So yeah, it's been 84 minutes, Tony. So I think I'm going to close it off now. So thank you so much for your company. I've had a whale of a time, actually. I should do this way more often, and it's definitely something. Now I think the quality's been fine. The stream's held up. Thank you to Telstra, my ISP, for making it go faster for me, and expect live shows to be much more a thing of the future. As always, thank you so much for your for watching the channel, for your many kind comments that you give me, guys. I'm doing this full time. I'm having the best time of my life, most enjoyable time of my life, really, to be honest with you. In the 53 years I've been on this planet, the last year and a half has really been very enjoyable for me, and it's thanks to you guys, because you just take part so well. And it's a really respectful place, which I'm always into a lot, you know. It's a really helpful sort of community, pleasant people. And we're all learning all the time. I've learned a lot from you guys, and keep doing what you're doing. And I look forward to bringing out those videos that I've mentioned there in the next few weeks. And do, as always, let me know, probably by email is best, if you've got ideas for episodes as well. Sometimes, you know, I might say to you, probably not many people interested in that, but a lot of the times I've had a few videos now which have been on viewers' suggestions, and that's really good. I like that a lot. So yeah, let me know on that email address you can see on the screen if you want to do that. Now I'm going to be deleting this video pretty soon, probably. So you know, thanks for taking part in this moment, which will never be seen again. You have a lovely day, evening, night, whatever it is where you are, and make sure you stay safe. I'm going to stay safe, and I'll see you in a video tomorrow. Peace.